All right, hello everyone. So we're back again. I think that I'll try to move through all 100 of these. So by the end, we'll have 100 videos on YouTube. So I'll try to do a few whenever I feel like I have free time. Usually that'll be on the weekends. But we're going back at it again with the pig that wants to be eaten. And this one is number 2. Beam me up. Ellipses is like just ... Okay, but beam me up. So the source for this one, Bagani lets us know that it's chapter 10 of Reasons and Persons by Derek Parfit from Oxford University Press in 1984 was, of course, the source and reasoning. So in the first one, I didn't read Bagani's explanation, but I will in this one, and then this one will be sort of more impromptu than the second or the first Evil Demon video. And again, I'm trying to make this more accessible and not as scholarly. So when we're watching these, we're learning together, we're working through these examples together. So this one is Beam Me Up. For Stelios, the transporter is the only way to travel. Previously, it took months to get from the Earth to Mars, confined to a cramped spacecraft with a far from perfect safety record. Stelios' Transport Express changed all of that. Now the trip just takes minutes, and so far it has been 100% safe. However, now he is facing a lawsuit from a disgruntled customer who is claiming the company actually killed him. Sorry for the cars. His argument is simple. The teletransporter works by scanning your brain and body cell by cell, destroying them, beaming the information to Mars, and reconstructing you there. Although the person on Mars looks, feels, and thinks just like a person who has been sent to sleep and zapped across space, the claimant argues that what actually happens is that you are murdered and replaced by a clone. To Stelios, this sounds absurd. After all, he has taken the teletransporter trip dozens of times, and he doesn't feel dead. Indeed, how can the claimant seriously believe that he has been killed by the process when he is clearly able to take the case to court? Still, as Stelios entered the transporter booth once again and prepared to press the button that would begin to dismantle him, he did for a second wonder whether he was about to commit suicide. Okay, so I am drawing upon some of the wonderful stuff that we've discussed, or that I've learned in pursuit of my philosophy minor. This is drawing on the mind-body problem, I'm pretty sure, and the ship of Theseus. I'm definitely going to spell this wrong. I'm just going to see if maybe that's it. Let me do a quick little... Is that it? Yeah, that's it. Okay, yeah. So the ship of Theseus, yeah, is definitely what this is drawing on. So the mind-body problem, the ship of Theseus, is some of the things that I think this is talking about. Initially, there's a ton of videos on YouTube explaining what the ship of Theseus is. But generally, just a quick, brief explanation. If a ship is sent across the world with all of the parts on it needed to replace everything, screws, boards, sails, everything, every plank. If by the time it circles back and reaches and you've replaced everything on that ship, is it the same ship? It's that sort of problem. But let's see what Bagani has to say and then see if there's anything that we can think about it after that. Oops. On what does our continued survival depend? In normal circumstances, we would say that the continued functioning of our body. But since there is no part of the body that couldn't conceivably be replaced by a synthetic substitute, perhaps this is not necessarily true. Isn't it rather that we continue to exist just as long as our consciousness continues? Right, so right there, if we pause, I could ask the question, how many ligaments can be replaced before we are no longer human or no longer ourselves? You know, if you think about it, if I chop off my arm and I get a synthetic arm or a prosthetic arm, I'm still me. If I chop off my legs and I have a synthetic arm or a prosthetic arm and prosthetic legs, and I can still walk and I'm still human. You know, I'd hasten to say that you're not human anymore. But how far does that go? What if we chop our head off and head transplants, you know, are possible in this world, in a fictitious world? Are we still, am I still me? I still have my brain. It's still my face. And then you could extend that even further and say, well, what if I take my brain out and I put my brain in a robot? Is that robot me, or is it not me? It still has my brain, so it's me, it's my thoughts, it's my whatever is controlling me now. It's all of that. It's all of the past 22 years, all of the thoughts and the synapses and everything that have fired in my brain. It's still me, but is it? And it goes back to that ship of Theseus. You know, is it the same ship if we've replaced everything on it? At what point does it stop being that ship? Where do we draw that line? So the day no one wakes up thinking he is me, with my memories, plans, and personalities, is the day I have died. The psychological continuity theory of personal identity has an intuitive appeal. It is only because it seems to reflect our fundamental intuitions that we can make sense of stories such as Kafka's Metamorphosis, in which a man wakes up in the body of a beetle. We instantly recognize that the man is the beetle because his mind inhabits it. Mental, not physical, continuity marks him as the same person. But in the case of teletransportation, although we do have psychological continuity as complete as it is in ordinary life, it also seems beyond a doubt that what has been created is a copy, a clone. A clone, however, is not the same individual as the person cloned. It is the same only in the sense that the two statues cast from the same mold are the same. They are identical in every detail, but they are distinct entities nonetheless. If you chip one, the other remains undamaged. It is not as though Stelios doesn't know how his teletransporter works. He just doesn't see why the fact that, strictly speaking, the machine clones him every time should matter. What matters to him is that, as far as is concerned, he walks into the booth and wakes up on another planet. The physical mechanism is irrelevant. If that sounds glib, consider for a moment the possibility that one night, a few years ago, you were kidnapped in your sleep, processed by the teletransporter, and the resulting person returned unknowing to your bed. Had this happened, you would have no way of telling because your conscious experience of your ongoing life as a continuing being would be exactly the same if it had not happened. The fact of the teletransportation, in some sense, leaves your life and world exactly as it was. Perhaps then to ask whether Stelios is a clone or the same person is the wrong question. Perhaps we should ask instead what matters about our past and future existence, and maybe the answer to that is psychological continuity by whatever means necessary. So, where are we contained, you know? Is it in our minds? Is it in our matter? Where are we? So again, I like the same question where if you take my brain and put it into another person's body, is that me? I'm willing to say, yeah, if it's my brain and I'm thinking and I'm in control of that body, then yeah, it's me. But then we run into issues of the clone thing. So if I have two cast iron skillets and they're both made by the Lodge Company and they're both the exact same size and metal used, but one has belonged to my grandmother for 40 years and one is the one I just bought in the store, they're the exact same pan. But we know that obviously, no, they're not. You could make the claim that one's been seasoned and the other one hasn't. But what if you season both of them the exact same? It's the same pan, but we're willing to say no, it's not, because we accept that physical over the psychological. So if we're gonna accept that the physical is what matters, then my brain isn't what matters, it's my body. So if you take my brain out of my body, I'm still me because my body's there. So that's a confusing one. That's kind of tricky. So what do we use to classify ourselves? Do you think that we should rely on the physical criteria? Or should we rely on the psychological criteria? Right? Let me know in the comments. Let me know what you think. Is it all physical? Is it a blend of both? Does it have to be dichotomous? Does it have to be an either or? Why not both? You know? So let me know what you think in the comments. Definitely rewind, listen to that explanation again. I'm just approaching this. I'm not trying to give you anything scholarly. We're just approaching it at the same level, and I'm offering some extra places to go should you want to. So the Ship of Theseus is definitely a great thing to check out if you wanted to read more about this. There's a lot of YouTube videos about this exact problem. But the Teletransporter is definitely one of my favorites. So let me know in the comments what you think. Do you think that you're more of the physical criteria? Do you think that the ship is not the same ship, right? If it has been replaced, all the boards have been replaced, right? Or is it the psychological criteria? Is it this idea that the ship is the ship in the spirit of it being a ship? That the fact that was the ship on the water and it never left the water, and it's the one that all the crewmates were on, that's the ship, right? All right, well, that's all I got for this one. Again, that was the beam me up example, mind-body delusion. But let me know what you think in the comments. Share this with your friends. Let's get a discussion going. I think this will be fun to talk about, at least while we're in 2020 still. All right, see y'all in the next one.